victory. Pretty shocking. Number 1 and number 2 for the 125, and then 3 and 4 for the heavyweight. These two guys are going to try and bounce back today, get their momentum before the championships. It's just a really exciting thing to watch.
4 top 5 ranked Buckeyes. You add in Carter Young for Maryland. That's 5 in the top 5 of their respective weight classes, including Nick Bazakis, who will be at 125 against Maryland's Abram Klein. Adam, what are you watching for in our first of 10 bouts today?
Bazakis is looking to bounce back after a tough, sudden victory loss to number 1 Luke Lillidahl. He wants to get things on the right page today, get momentum as the season comes to a close.
Going up against Abram Klein. Klein has been part of a back-and-forth 125 weight class for Maryland and Alex Clemson. Clemson in his 7th season at the helm, where we get started at 125 here. The final regular season duel for Ohio State. Final Big Ten duel for Maryland will host its senior night against Drexel in a week's time. Starts with Bazakis, who suffered his first loss of the season to Lillidahl. That came in sudden victory, as you mentioned, on Friday at the Bryce Jordan Center.
And Ryan, he had not lost to another school's wrestler all season. He dropped an earlier bout against one of his teammates. So, you know, if that was how his season ended with just that one loss, that would have been an awkward conversation in the locker room.
For the redshirt junior out of Tampa, who wrestled in high school at one of the major powerhouses of Wyoming Seminary in Pennsylvania, drops to 9-1 in duels, going up against Abram Klein. Klein, a sophomore out of Chula Vista, California. One of many Californians on this Maryland team, as Bazakis goes for the single leg shot on Klein's left leg. Nothing yet for Bazakis. And then he gets the 3 points on the first takedown of the afternoon.
It was really an exploratory first 30 seconds.
Yep.
Then Bazakis found his lane with that single leg. And now in the takedown position, he's got full control over Klein, who last week, when he was in a takedown position against Jory Volk, really struggled against Minnesota.
Klein coming off the loss against Volk. It's been pretty much all Abram Klein here at 125, with Preston Sanchez not being as healthy as he wanted to be. The sophomore out of Omaha saw consistent time at 125 with Klein. Just a takedown so far for Bazakis. He's got a couple good wins on his resume so far this year. Had a decision win over Iowa's Dean Peterson, and maybe the most impressive duel for Ohio State this season. That one came against the Hawkeyes. Here's Bazakis getting the swipes. Is there an early pin? No, there will be 4 near fall points for Bazakis. He claims a 7-0 lead.
And this is something that Maryland have been trying to turn around all season, getting away from these big deficits early. Abram Klein is going to try and turn that around.
More swipes come for Bazakis. Another 4 near fall points for Bazakis as we enter tech fall territory, still in the first period here.
I mean, Klein has just had no response ever since that single leg takedown by Bazakis, and he's going to have to try and find something, or else this could be a 15-0 shutout, Ryan.
Yeah, Nick Bazakis wanting redemption after Friday's loss to the number 1 125 in Penn State's Luke Lillidahl. 4-1 sudden victory win for Penn State. Bazakis, he looks like he's remembering what happened just 48 hours ago. Here's a takedown on Klein.
And you can just see this takedown here that Klein has nothing to really plant off of. His legs are locked up. Nothing he could do with that right arm.
Bazakis earns the escape. Fighting on the near side. It's been Bazakis the aggressor through the first 3 minutes.
But it's been a more kind of patient aggression, knowing that he's in control here, and Klein has not been able to do anything on offense today.
Klein also wrestled up against Luke Lillidahl right here at the Pavilion. Lillidahl earning the tech fall win as the first of 10 straight bouts that the Nittany Lions would have over the Terrapins. Lillidahl picking up the tech fall in 7 minutes on Klein.
That was good defense right there by Klein to avoid falling into that single leg trap that doomed him to a 12-point deficit early on.
Hand fighting at the top. Bazakis thought that maybe Klein might have gotten a shot in with the right hand.
I think when you're Klein, you have to be so careful knowing the one takedown means a tech fall immediately.
And there's the final takedown, final 3 on the takedown. It's a tech fall win for Nick Bazakis, number 2 ranked wrestler at 125, continuing what he's just done all season, his 12th win by tech fall.
First time in his last 5 bouts that he got it done as we take another look at that final takedown. When you're Klein and you have no margin for error, you have to play it safe. Bazakis took full advantage. 4th
tech fall win this season for Bazakis, and quickly gives Ohio State a 5-0 lead. Here's another Buckeye wrestler who wants redemption from Friday in one of our 3 ranked matchups we'll see. It comes at 133 with Ben Davino of Ohio State and Maryland's Braxton Brown. This is 2 versus 13.
And I mean, Davino had a crushing loss, losing in a tiebreaker to number 4 Marcus Blaze, who they're competing right now for these top spots. And though it's elite competition, you still want to persist and come out on top. And Davino will try and do that here today against Brown.
Davino did have just a decision loss to Marcus Blaze of Penn State. That was 2 versus 4. But there's a 2 next to Davino's name, and he knows that he needed a full 7 minutes against Blaze. Didn't have that as part of the big day for the Nittany Lions.
He had a 7 minutes and more, but just when you've gotten all the way to tiebreakers, you're just in big trouble. And not much you can do, as the takedown's awarded right there.
Their takedown for Ohio State, this one for Ben Davino. Just a redshirt freshman. Suffered his first loss of the season on Friday. He moves to 22-1. Just the 2nd loss of Davino's career. He picked up one a season ago. Braxton Brown being a bit more of an aggressor for Maryland. He's a guy who comes in with just so much experience that head coach Alex Clemson knows in his 7th season. As a redshirt senior, he sees Brown as one of the 3 guys who could be a Saturday wrestler at Nationals.
And I mean, Brown is one of the highlights for this Terrapin season. They've struggled just in Big Ten competition. And this will be a back and forth bout here, Ryan. Davino has only had decisions or tiebreakers against ranked wrestlers, so don't expect a high-scoring one like we just saw in the first bout. This is probably going to hold potentially around this score.
Braxton Brown joined Branson John as the 2 wrestlers to pick up a win at home against Minnesota a week ago today. As Brown looks to escape. He can't do so. It's a takedown for Ben Davino.
Just fully got Brown out of position, almost flailing with his legs. And when you're an elite wrestler like Davino, you can take full advantage of that, just grabbing the one trail.
Brown is coming off a decision win over Minnesota's Brandon Morvari. He's won 2 straight since that Penn State duel. Also, a sudden victory decision over Rutgers' Dylan Shaver. Now has an opportunity. This is a big one in terms of Braxton Brown boosting his resume, but it comes after the 2 takedowns for Davino.
I mean, there's not much room to work with here, as already down by 5. He's going to have to try and battle back if he does want to have a statement win today in Maryland's final Big Ten duel. But Davino has just been in full control since taking advantage of that error by Brown to end just 30 seconds ago.
Brown just with the 1 takedown for a point, with a pair, or the 1 escape for a point, and a pair of takedowns for Ben Davino. And Brown's a guy you look at as the first period comes to a close, that when Alex Clemson was saying he wants to see full effort right now in the 10 guys that they have, knowing it's not the best 10 guys he's had in his 7 seasons before. You look at a redshirt senior like Brown, he's someone who could be putting in the effort against the number 2 wrestler in his class to show he belongs with a ranked number next to his name at 133.
Plenty of this Terrapin roster are going to be looking at next season as well, trying to make an impression that I belong in this program. I should be here next year on this mat in Big Ten duels.
Brown will be honored next week against Drexel as part of the Senior Day festivities for Maryland. And what's been a disappointing year, and head coach Alex Clemson will be the first one to tell you. Clemson, coming from Missouri. He was talking to us this week about the analogy of growing up in Missouri and seeing former President Truman's slogan everywhere, where the buck stops here, the buck stops at the guy at top. And Clemson feels that it's his responsibility to put the wrestlers in a position to have better success than they've seen this year.
And stopping the buck would be the dream for Maryland today.
I see what you did there with the Buckeyes. That's pretty good. That's pretty good. Brown looks to stop the number 2 ranked Buckeye. That's Ben DeVino at 133. Quiet first half of the second period. Single leg shot from Brown, well defended by DeVino, turns the defense into offense.
It's just the knee movement right there was so precise from DeVino, who, a lesser wrestler, an unranked wrestler, would not be able to escape so quickly. He's just able to reposition his knees and get into a better defensive spot against Brown, who has not been able to find any kind of offense today. I mean, for Brown, his struggles have come against ranked wrestlers. He's 1-4 this season. Losses to Marcus Blum, who, took down DeVino on Friday. But for DeVino, he was 6-1. So outside of tiebreakers, he's won every single time. And that's like he's trying to keep going. This is an unfamiliar score for him. Normally, it's a lot tighter. Think 4-2, 4-3.
Yeah, Blaze, a real talent with Penn State. Picked up the major decision victory over Braxton Brown. And in a loaded Big Ten conference, that was Braxton's only loss by bonus points. His only loss overall, too, in conference play as the second period finishes up. That was a defensive 2 minutes for Brown.
I mean, I think it's just mostly that if you're DeVino, you're just protecting. You're trying to avoid making a blunder that could get Brown back into this bout. And now you just have to try and be in control here. We'll see if he cedes the escape. Either strategy could pay off. Second
bout that we have today, it comes at 133 with a pair of Ben DeVino takedowns in the first period, putting the Buckeye in a better position. And after a quick tech fall win for Nick Bizakis at 125 to start off our afternoon. DeVino allows a pretty easy escape to Brown.
Seems very intentional to try and stall the clock a little bit, Ryan. Work those 30 seconds down, and now they can be about at a draw here.
Riding time in DeVino's favor. It's right there at the minute it would be needed for the extra point. Major decision territory right now. Not just yet with Brown playing defensively. Still have some time to get there. But right now, as it seems, it would sit as a decision for DeVino.
Brown is focusing on his left leg. Can he get enough force in it to drive DeVino into the ground, see if he can get near fall points, try and mount this comeback?
Call it a stalemate and reset at the middle of the Maryland Block M.
Before Brown, you have to be aggressive right here because this is a winnable bout, but it's all about precision and not letting DeVino work down the clock even more.
Maryland's Alex Clemson noting that in terms of the ranked matchups, this is a big disparity with 2 versus 13, but they like how Braxton Brown's been around the block. He's been in these fights like this before. You bring up the Marcus Blaze duel against Penn State, and he's a little frustrated that he sees a 13 next to his name. He thinks that he's a top 10 at 133. There's guys like that, though, with DeVino earning another takedown. He's up to 10 points, putting us into a major decision disparity right now. When you add on what would be a 9-point win for Ben DeVino, a couple of top 2 Buckeyes pick up wins early between Nick Bizakis and Ben DeVino. Brings our score to 9-0 Ohio State. That's where we'll pick it up in just a moment on Big Ten Plus. back on Big Ten Plus, where it's been all Buckeye wrestling so far. 9-0 lead for Ohio State. As you get a look at the head coaches, it's Alex Clemson for Maryland.
And Clemson is looking for Maryland's first Big Ten dual win today, trying to turn around a season that's been full of injuries and things that were not going Maryland's way at all.
7th year for Clemson, 20th year for Ohio State's Tom Ryan. Making 2 decades now at the helm of the Buckeyes for the former Iowa Hawkeye. Here now at 141. It's an early takedown for Jesse Mendez, top-ranked wrestler in this weight class, and maybe just the best pound-for-pound wrestler. He's got 2 early takedowns in under 25 seconds against Maryland's Dario Lemus. Lemus picks up an escape point after both, though.
Early on, this is almost like a butcher shop, just looking at how Mendez is controlling the shoulders of Lemus, generating these takedowns early. I mean, Ryan, that first bout ended in a tech fall, but...
How about a big takedown for Dario Lemus? Maryland's first of the day. It comes against the top-ranked 141. That's the fight and effort that Clemson wanted to see out of his Maryland wrestlers.
Coach Clemson told us that he wants this team to finish out strong, and this is really David versus Goliath here. Number 1 Mendez has only dropped 1 bout in his last 50.
3rd takedown for Jesse Mendez. Add on the escape, and Mendez up by 5. That goes to 4 with Lemus escaping himself. It's been an offensive onslaught early here at 141. We're just over a minute in, and already a 4th takedown for Jesse Mendez.
You could just see after Lemus had the takedown, Mendez has responded. I don't think he was happy to have allowed that. Now he's just trying to finish this off as they bump over there into the table.
Mendez, the only Ohio State Buckeye that picked up a win over number 1 Penn State on Friday. He beat Braden Mendez, the 12th ranked wrestler at 141, with a tech fall. That's the only 5 points that Ohio State had on the night. Using internet mat rankings here on Big Ten Plus. So a takedown and 4 escapes for Dario Lemus. Meanwhile, Jesse Mendez has the 4 takedowns and a single escape.
Getting close to putting him away, and it was almost a curb stomping earlier, Ryan, with Mendez's foot on the head of Lemus, who, after getting that takedown, and a bit of a surprise moment when Mendez was taking a break, it's been all Mendez.
5 first period takedowns for maybe the pound-for-pound best wrestler across collegiate wrestling this year. They'll go out of bounds. Maintain the same position with Lemus starting from bottom. Mendez, a senior out of Crown Point, Indiana. 18-0 on the season. And he had quick work of Braden Davis.
But Lemus here is doing a good job to prevent this deficit from growing any larger. Nice job staying on his stomach and focusing on that, but as he continues to lose arms and legs here, he's going to be in more trouble.
Lemus, just a redshirt sophomore, also out of California. Went to Clovis High School there. The hotbeds on the West Coast for wrestling. Starting off the second period, but this was all offense in the first 3 minutes.
I mean, Lemus did a good job to only limit that to 1 takedown, but that's just a nightmare positioning, Ryan.
Escape for Mendez, who takes a double-digit lead. Goes low at Lemus's left leg. Well defended, though, by Dario.
Again, Lemus being driven down onto his head, and it's just been a takedown factory for Mendez.
Who adds on the 6th takedown he has today. Stalling warning also against Dario Lemus. This is a tough assignment to end off the Big Ten slate for Maryland's Lemus.
And I think, for Coach Clemson, he just wants to see 3 periods of consistency here for Lemus. It may not be about upsetting the number 1, but...
And they'll call a fall for Jesse Mendez. Was up well, but he'll end this one early. Jesse Mendez has been the man all season for Ohio State. And number 1, 141, earns the win by fall.
And now 11-0 in Big Ten duels as we take a look at what led to that fall. It was... Fielding is filling in for number 6 Ethan Stiles, who has not competed since the duel against Iowa. He lost against number 1 Shane Van Ness last time around in a 25 tech fall. He's trying to bounce back from that and show that he could be someone on this team even with the absence of Stiles.
Fielding had the tech fall loss to Shane Van Ness, who again is also in the conversation for best pound-for-pound wrestler this year at 149. But Maryland fans love to see Carter Young back after a week ago here at the Pavilion. Head coach Alex Clemson calling it a maintenance day with Young out of the lineup at 49.
And Coach Clemson told us that, it was an unfortunate way it had to happen, but it just lined up with the schedule that they needed to take that day against Minnesota. But it's going to be on Young to try and keep things going and make the most of that.
Single leg shot at the right leg of Fielding. It's defended by the Buckeye. Carter Young, redshirt senior, mid-year transfer from Oklahoma State. Out of Stillwater High School as well. He stayed home and now wrestles in the nation's premier conference, the Big Ten. He's got a second takedown here against Fielding.
And his priority has been almost exclusively locking up the left leg of Fielding. He has not been focused on the arms, but just trying to get these takedowns, build enough of a margin to work with. He can try and put this bout away.
Carter Young was at Oklahoma State until November. Clemson saying he got kicked out of the wrestling room there, came to Maryland where he got about 10 days before they broke for the Christmas holiday. It's been an interesting year for Young, who still has a top 5 designation at his name for 149.
And I mean, the most impressive part of that, Ryan, is Coach Clemson told us that he thinks that Carter Young is in preseason shape.
Yep.
He's not even in regular season shape like everyone he's facing. So if this is what he looks like in the preseason, he could have been an animal.
Clemson having connections with Stillwater High School coach Ethan Kyle, David Miraconti, who he credits to getting Carter Young to wear the Terp script across his chest this year. Got a 6-2 lead over Brogan Fielding. A couple of takedowns for Young, a couple of escapes for Fielding. And Carter Young really gave Shane Van Ness an early run for his money. Again, the number 1 ranked 149 was here at the Pavilion, and it was Young who had a couple of takedowns early. Maybe could have gotten a slap on the mat. Head coach Alex Clemson says possible pin by Carter Young. Instead, Shane Van Ness comes back a lot for a tech fall win.
Maryland as a team are just trying to learn from that Penn State duel and improve today against a similarly talented Ohio State.
Carter Young was someone who was one of the humblest guys in the wrestling room, Clemson says. But he learned from that loss to Shane Van Ness and understands where there's so much more for him to get better going into Big Tens. Again, maybe going to Ohio State's neighborhood in Cleveland for NCAAs. Clayton Gabrielson had a tech fall, a loss to Minnesota's Drew Roberts last week, with Young out of the lineup at 49. They knew they were going to give Young a maintenance day at some point. Again, just coming in mid-year, didn't wrestle in competition until January. So they picked that day against the Golden Gophers on last Sunday.
You can see that Young's scoring has slowed down here, Ryan, and that's partially because he's been focused more on the arms of Fielding instead of the legs. When he was going for the legs early on, he was generating takedowns. Now he's almost at a stalemate, and he's 1 takedown away from allowing this bout to be tied.
Just as you say, goes for the single leg. Advantageous position for Young. Builds up a base and works on the right leg of Brogan Fielding. And on to the far side, right in front of Ohio State's corner. You see 28th year head coach Tom Ryan sporting the suit jacket on the right side of your screen. Final 30 seconds of the second period. How about right before getting to the edge of the mat, it's Carter Young who earns a takedown.
Right, I think that was the most impressive takedown of the day. You know, about to go out of the circle and finding a way just to get a hold of that foot after being almost out of position, you could say, holding onto the right leg of Fielding that was completely bent. You really had to almost like pull him across your body to try and get a takedown. He managed to secure it.
Young has yielded 3 great takedowns against Brogan Fielding. True freshman out of Jefferson, Ohio. Young using the experience to his credit, and a redshirt senior in his last year of eligibility. Working on the right leg in the final seconds of the second period. He'll take a 6-point lead into the final 3 minutes. This is how it looks like.
As we take another look at that takedown, just about to go out of position, finds a way to grab that second leg. Fielding can't believe it.
Yeah, the final 2 minutes of the third period. You saw the reactions right in front of the Ohio State corner, too. They wanted to see the two wrestlers go out and reset things in the middle before the takedown came. But Young understood his awareness of the mat and where he was to still get those 3 points. Our fourth bout of the day comes here at 149 after 3 consecutive bonus point wins for Ohio State. Tech fall for Nick Bizakis, major decision for Ben Davino, and a tech fall for maybe the top wrestler in the country, Jesse Mendez at 141. How about a 4th takedown for Carter Young? Carter's cruising right now at 149.
When he's locking up the legs, he's finding so much success. Now he's going to try and finish this off. Maryland looking for as many points as they can get, already down 15 as a team.
Alex Clemson's got to be so happy. Carter Young is in his corner now. Again, a mid-year addition who couldn't wrestle before the new year. Now he's back. He's got the Maryland flag on his headgear, and he's representing the school to the best he can.
You could say this entire bout that Fielding has just been reacting to whatever Carter Young chooses to do. He's not been able to mount any kind of offense, and most of this second and third period have been spent with one of his legs locked up by Young.
Fielding trying to build a base, work at the hands at the left hip. The swipes come. We'll give it the stall warning to reset it again at the block M. Final 34 seconds in the third period. And what right now is a major decision win for Carter Young. He's up to an 11-point lead with the riding time. Started with those 2 early takedowns, and Carter Young has cruised to a lead after doing so in the first period.
You can just see right there the fact that he's able to take advantage of that mistake by Fielding to leave one leg open, go for it fully just to wind down this clock and secure a major decision win.
It's a talented Ohio State team, but Carter Young gets it done for Maryland. Here at 149, Carter Young picks up a major decision win, giving Maryland its first 4 points on the board. Faced a tough matchup against PJ Duke on Friday, was one of the 5 Nittany Lion wins that came with bonus points.
Chase is filling in for normally number 2 Brandon Cannon, who has not been able to compete in February. So a big moment for him as he's trying to impress Coach Ryan and show him he can be a part of this team going forward.
Chase, the redshirt freshman out of Marion, Ohio, wrestled in high school at Pleasant High School. And that's a big loss in Cannon. And when we were talking with Ohio State and Coach Ryan earlier this week, mentioning how they don't want to rush him back. They see a long postseason and do expect him to be ready to wrestle by the time Big Tens come. That's next up on the schedule for Ohio State, and it'll happen at Penn State. A long postseason waits ahead for Cannon at Big Tens and at Nationals, and they see Chase being the guy to finish up the dual calendar.
I mean, for Maryland, for Neal here, he doesn't have those aspirations on the top of his mind, but he's just trying to make some progress. That's what Coach Clemson's looking for overall from this Maryland roster, Ryan, because Neal has been pinned or lost by tech fall in all of his Big Ten duels. So he's going to try and turn that around today, even if it's a major decision or a decision. Just getting more points and allowing fewer will be a sign of progress moving forward.
All 4 conference bouts for Mekhi Neal have come against ranked wrestlers where he's 0-4. Those losses all with bonus points attached for the opponents. Most recently, before that break, it was 4 points on the scoreboard for Maryland with Carter Young, the number 4 ranked wrestler at 149, picking up a major decision win over Ohio State's Brogan Fielding. That one was offense early and often, just like we saw at 141. But now in bout number 5, maybe reminiscent of our first and second bouts, a lot of feeling out process between Chase and Neal.
And I mean, this is the first bout today without a single ranked wrestler,
Yep.
So it's definitely a different style where, where you might have one guy like Jesse Mendez going all out knowing that he is number 1 right now. These 2 guys are more even, and it could go either team's way. Maryland just looking for momentum to try and chip away. 11-point team deficit.
You look at the team rankings too, and Ohio State was 17-0 for the first time in program history. A program that dates back over 100 years. But that loss on Friday, this is still very unsettled disparity-wise with Ohio State number 2 in the rankings, Maryland unranked. This could be an area where a Terp sees he needs to carry his weight in unranked versus unranked.
It's a contentious one there as Coach Ryan jumping out of his seat, trying to talk to Coach Clemson. It looked for a second like Neal accidentally kicked Chase in the head there, Ryan.
And Ryan wants to take a look after they go to the table and take a look at it.
And the most even bout of the day will continue scoreless. And I mean, late we did see that Chase was mounting a good attack there on one leg of Neal, but otherwise it's just been quite a stalemate so far. And we'll have to see, was that first period exploratory or was that a sign of what's to come?
Daxton Chase looking for his first dual win of the season. He's 0-3. Again, as we mentioned, the usual starting 157 for Ohio State. Brendan Cannon still out with injury.
And these are 2 wrestlers who are just trying to use upper body strength to take advantage. Neither of them have been going for any legs primarily, but when you're so evenly matched in terms of arm strength, there's not much you can do here without selling out yourself, putting yourself at big risk of a takedown.
Chase just poked Neal in the eye. We'll give Neal a second to make sure he can get the right eye open. Just 1 point so far. It was awarded for a Mekhi Neal escape through the first nearly 5 minutes. Neal goes up top for Maryland. He comes off of a fall against Minnesota's Charlie Millard on Super Bowl Sunday a week ago. Neal working on the right leg, spinning around. Mekhi Neal just trying to build a base, and they'll call a stalemate to reset it.
And that was almost a good sequence from Neal, who managed to take back his momentum, turn it around into a single leg takedown, but Chase with the perfect response there to get back and get Neal out of position, and then there was not much for Chase to do there, so they're just going to have to try and get at it from neutral again.
Neither wrestler's taken a successful shot for a takedown here through our first 2 periods. It's about as low scoring as you can get at 157. And into the final 2 minutes. Something's got to give between Mekhi Neal for Maryland and Ohio State's Daxton Chase.
I mean, this escape point could be critical because then it would put a lot of pressure on either wrestler to sell out for a takedown.
Here's an opportunity for Chase to earn an escape point quickly. You see him bouncing off the whistle. The Buckeye wanted the escape and will now earn it here to Mekhi Neal. We're tied at 1. Unlikely either wrestler earns riding time here. One takedown could do it. Maybe that takedown comes before a sudden victory.
It's just all about taking advantage of your lane, whether you create it yourself or the opposing wrestler makes a blunder and tries to create it for themselves. That'll decide this bout, I think, Ryan, because I don't expect to see more than, let's say, 1 takedown here.
Neal goes for a double leg. Now works on the right leg of Chase. Mekhi Neal looks to build a base with Chase wrestling defensively. Another stalemate between these two. We bring it back to the Maryland Dem.
A stalemate there. Bailed out Neal, who is not finding any way to drive off his right leg, which would have been the only way to get out of that position.
It's the final minute of this bout at 157. Double leg shot for Mekhi Neal. Neal spins it around, and Neal earns a takedown. Neal keeping Chase in position after the takedown. That could serve as the bout winner here at 157. Now the swipes come from Mekhi Neal. They call a dangerous position with the head.
You see Coach Clemson fired up there, knowing that Neal, someone that he's particularly looking at for a bounce back, and taking advantage of that takedown lane is all Neal needs to do. And now their stalemate that they've been going at for most of this bout is completely fine for Maryland.
Mekhi Neal looking for his first conference win of the season. He's 17 seconds away from it. Thanks to that clutch 3rd period takedown, can he keep the score and locked at a 3-point advantage? Neal not letting Chase get the escape. And now the put to Big Ten wrestlers. Welcome to the conference if you're AJ Rodriguez.
And I mean, this is quite the welcome mat today. Is he's trying to mount an attack. Encouraging sign early is neither wrestlers look to be reactive. Both are trying to take early control here.
It's been a trio of tech falls recently against Rodriguez. Most recent one was on Super Bowl Sunday against number 6 Minnesota. A tech fall loss to Minnesota's Andrew Sparks.
Ranked competition has just been challenging for Rodriguez all season. He hasn't found a win. He's been outscored 49-5. So it's going to be his task today to show Coach Clemson that there has been progress throughout the season, that he is someone who next year could take another step forward.
And for Rodriguez, it's also a case of what Clemson was talking to us during the week about. You go back to a loss like Penn State and understanding that when you wrestle a team like that, when you wrestle number 2 Ohio State Buckeyes, you got to be ready to put your best effort out there. It might not be enough, but you never know unless you put all 110% in.
And Coach Clemson stressed that it's about putting out that effort and maintaining it throughout all 3 periods, not, lasting for one or only picking it up at the end.
Clemson saying he reminds his wrestlers in the practice gym all the time that there's a reason you come to the Big Ten to wrestle. During those recruiting pitches, you always mention that you're going to wrestle guys with a number 1 and number 2 next to their name in the weight class. That's what we've seen so far today, and an opportunity that we've had a couple wrestlers like Mekhi Neal take advantage of, or it's been more of the same for Ohio State's Ben Davino, Jesse Mendez, and Nick Bizakis.
And Ryan, right there, that was some fantastic positioning from Rodriguez, who was not in an ideal spot, on one leg at risk of being swept out from under him, but he managed to just leap it up at the exact right moment, and that's what you need to be doing just to try and hold off such a force like Gallagher, one of the top wrestlers in this class.
Gallagher earns the takedown with the right leg shot. The redshirt senior out of Chesterland, Ohio. And looks to bounce back after the major decision to Penn State's Mitchell Messenbrink. What an environment there was there at Penn State, the Bryce Jordan Center on Friday. 16,000 plus fans packed it up there in University Park. That's an NCAA wrestling record.
And I mean, this crowd here at the pavilion today is following that trend. I mean, it's packed and it was loud for the end of that Mekhi Neal win. But it's just been a stalemate here as Rodriguez is trying to fend off Gallagher from racking up more points. He's just focused on generating a near fall, and Rodriguez has been really well positioned, Ryan. I think that's been his story so far, that he may not be on the attack yet, but he's doing a good job getting out of trouble.
Trying to get out of trouble, and Patty Gallagher doesn't want to let it happen. He stops and escape right there. That comes after this takedown.
You can only escape so many times, but Gallagher is able to create so many opportunities that eventually he will cash in. And now he has a 3-point lead to protect.
They keep in the same position. AJ Rodriguez goes to bottom. He was maybe a couple seconds away from earning the takedown on Patty Gallagher. Here, Ohio State's Gallagher will just give it to him. Defended well. That's a quick move with the right leg to scrap out of it with Gallagher.
That's just the speed here, which you don't always expect to see in the 165-pound class. It's been Rodriguez's calling card today.
Rodriguez works it to the edge of the mat. They'll quickly blow the whistle and take them back to center mat.
And I mean, this is familiar territory for Gallagher. He's 10-0 against unranked wrestlers this year, and he has not allowed more than 5 points from any single one. So having Rodriguez just limited to 1 point is almost exactly what you would have expected to see coming into today.
Big single leg shot, and then Gallagher uses the left arm for a double leg takedown.
Just in full control here for Gallagher, who was struggling early to get that successful finish to his motion, but now he's getting the single leg, now he's creating the takedowns, and the question is, can Rodriguez not be so reactive now? Can he take control, find a takedown of his own?
The second time in this bout, Gallagher just gives the escape to Rodriguez. He wants a third takedown. Gallagher only in his first full season at 165. Was down at 157 until late last season, making that jump up to one of the more talented classes in the sport.
And I mean, that's something that across the Ohio State roster they've been doing, that shifting weight classes in deference to their teammates, knowing that it's best for the unit as a whole when March comes around.
This Ohio State team that has its sights set on way more than this regular season finale today at Maryland. Ohio State has an opportunity to send 10 wrestlers to Big Tens. As another takedown is earned by Patty Gallagher, that's his fourth. But then Tom Ryan stressed to us too how his wrestlers know that NCAAs this year are going to be right down the road in Cleveland.
I mean, knowing that, seeing how many fans will come out to see them compete against Penn State, and here today at the Pavilion, I mean, there's a good crowd of Ohio State fans who travel all the way to College Park. Knowing that they're in Cleveland, like you said, it's a prime opportunity for an Ohio State team to really make a name for themselves this year.
Columbus to College Park is not an easy drive if you do it. About 6.5 hours west. Could be a flight, could be a drive. Whatever it is, Buckeye supporters have come out to the Pavilion on a Sunday afternoon. Their escape for Rodriguez. He still faces an 8-point hole. That's how the score will read going into the final 4 minutes. Second period to start between Patty Gallagher and AJ Rodriguez, our 6th of 10 bouts tonight.
And Ryan, I think the score right now is actually underselling how in control Gallagher is. Gallagher has just struggled to get the leg sweeps against Rodriguez, who has been limited to one leg for a fair amount of this bout so far. And if he was able to get just one, it would already be over with a tech fall.
Defended well, defense to offense for Patty Gallagher. So lightning quick, it's an escape and then a fourth takedown for Patty Gallagher. He's been everywhere so far.
I mean, for Rodriguez, today already is a kind of progress. He has more points today than he did in his last 3 bouts combined. It's just all about, is there any response he can find besides just getting these escapes that are given away?
It's a fifth takedown, a fifth escape to AJ Rodriguez. Points have been easy for the South Carroll High School native. It comes escape, then takedown, escape, then takedown. That's just what happens between Gallagher and Rodriguez again.
Just all about that right leg, the same motion every time. You can just see how well trained these Ohio State wrestlers are, that it just looks identical, almost what you would imagine is the first rep in practice.
It's a Buckeyes team that's focused on bouncing back after a 31-point loss at Penn State. Number 2 Ohio State at number 1 Penn State. In front of a record crowd at the Bryce Jordan Center. Only one wrestler winning a bout. That was Jesse Mendez at 141.
For the first time today, that was Rodriguez making an attempt to go for a single leg. Unsuccessful, but that kind of aggression late is what he's going to need to avoid tech fall.
Sits at a major decision right here. 11-point lead for Patty Gallagher. Now give him a 14-point lead plus the 1 with the riding time in his favor.
See such a ruthless motion right there, going for the double leg, trying to finish this off with a near fall.
Near fall would give a tech fall win for Patty Gallagher. Instead, the take.
Who has not competed in the last few bouts for Ohio State, but when he was ranked as high as number 5. But we could see a similar bout here to the 5th one with Mekhi Neal, where it's just 2 wrestlers who were trying to explore for the first period, then taking some more risk in the second before finally trying to sell out and see who can come out on top in the third.
Digby, only a freshman out of Lake Buff, Illinois. His time last year was competing for Lake Forest High School.
Digby definitely will not mind, a late scoring here, because when he allows 8 or fewer, he's 5-5 compared to his 5-13 record on the season.
Coming off a loss against Minnesota. And number 24, Ethan Riddle. That was a major decision win for Riddle. 174 class that Maryland's missing its captain too. Dom Solis, who is back after redshirting last year at 74. Sustains an injury, so the Laurel native and McDonough product, he hasn't had a ton of lineup time at 74. So you take out the redshirt senior, and in comes a freshman, Digby.
And for Digby, it's been a tough start to his Big Ten career. 0-7 in duels so far this season. Only one of them, Ryan, ended in a decision, so he's just been struggling to stay competitive and stay with it.
He was up against TJ Sherrill, who was tech followed by Levi Haynes of Penn State on Friday.
Even though he's a redshirt sophomore, he's even greener than Digby in Big Ten environments. Friday was the first of his career.
The first one, you get Levi Haynes. Haynes at the home Penn State mat. That is about as tough an assignment as you can draw.
I mean, you said earlier, welcome to the Big Ten. That's a real welcome.
Haynes for Penn State was one of 6 number 1 ranked wrestlers the Nittany Lions have. Big reason why Penn State's won 85 consecutive dual matches, and just claimed their 6th consecutive Big Ten regular season title.
But even if they weren't number 1, the Nittany Lions were relentless, and only Jesse Mendez managed to prevail.
Sherrill versus Digby comes up scoreless in the first period. 0-0, 3 minutes in.
And I mean, you could just see there, these are two wrestlers who know that they don't have to sell out early. They're about evenly physically matched, and neither are prioritizing going for, let's say, a single leg takedown or focusing on the torso. It's more about exploring, seeing what lane can I generate in this second and third period.
Sherrill grabs Digby's hands at his right hip and earns the escape, our first point in this 174 bout. And you mentioned Digby and what Clemson could be looking out for his freshman wrestler. You were asking Clemson during the week about what can you see in the young guys across this duel against Ohio State and the duel next week against Drexel. He used 3 words in his answer to you, talking about the attitude, edge, and effort he wants to see out of young wrestlers.
And I do think that the win by Mekhi Neal will fire up the rest of this Maryland lineup. You know, just seeing someone prevail when they weren't expected to necessarily is always encouraging, and Digby's going to try and get momentum here. I mean, one takedown like that Neal duel could seal it.
These two start at neutral. Digby, even just as a freshman, someone that the Maryland wrestling room knows, he figures out quickly every Big Ten duel is going to be a fist fight.
And I mean, so far he's been taking plenty of the punches, and here he can be in control. Neither wrestler has overly asserted themselves like we've seen in the ranked versus unranked bouts today. It's been focused mostly in neutral, seeing can I create a lane right there. You see Sherrill trying to find that right leg, but when the risk is so high, knowing that this will be a low-scoring bout, you don't want to sell out early. You want your opponent to make the blunder that you can take advantage of, sprawl, get around. That's a takedown right there.
Very similar to the last bout we had before the break at 157, where a third period takedown was all that Mekhi Neal needed.
Right there, that was the best chance so far for either of these wrestlers. Digby just unable to keep control of that right leg, but you're just seeing, we've seen more aggression in this period, and as we go into the third, Ryan, I think we're going to see some more risk get taken. That could go someone's way.
This is deja vu from what we saw at 157. 2 unranked wrestlers for 2 overall teams with a huge disparity. Number 2 Ohio State versus unranked Maryland. But can a young wrestler, can a freshman here in Digby earn an individual win for the Terps? That'll help tying us with an escape point.
And I've got deja vu here, Ryan, because this is almost identical to that fifth bout like you were talking about. One wrestler trailing 1-0 going into the third period, quickly gets the escape when it might seem like it would be the prerogative of the other wrestler to try and protect their 1-point lead. And now I think, again, a takedown is going to seal this one.
Digby looking for his first career Big Ten win. It'll be his first dual win since early in the season with a sudden victory win at American.
It's a dangerous attempt right there. Luckily for Sherrill, he was far enough away that it couldn't come back to bite him, but we've been seeing that he's been willing to take more of these risks than Digby, who is allowing himself to be more reactive, you could say passive, try and find an opportunity there.
A large black brace on Digby's right knee. Someone who else who's faced injuries as part of a injury-plagued depth team with Maryland this year.
You see that left wrist right there. That was the linchpin.
Double leg shot for Digby on the outside, and they say it's outside the circle. Clemson considers the challenge block, but understands that was well outside. Not as close as what we saw earlier with Neal and Carter Young. That was a double leg shot that Digby was trying to dig down for and get. Does he have another one in the final 30 seconds? Or are we entering a sudden victory? There's Sherrill showing some offense. Double leg by Digby, well defended by Sherrill.
Digby's just focused on controlling one wrist, and then he'll try and drive Sherrill. Good defense here. I think it's going to send it to a sudden victory, Ryan.
Double leg shot for Digby. The third period clock winds down. Does he have one? Again, the whistle outside the circle. bails out the Buckeye, TJ Sherrill. Going to cut off a piece of the leg brace. This one, in all likelihood, heads to a sudden victory. After a few good double leg shots for Seth Digby, our closest, most competitive individual bout ends sudden victory.
You see right there, pressuring Sherrill, who was losing control as the third period went on, and now it's just going to be about who goes for the takedown first.
The takedown takes the bout at 174. Ohio State up 13 on the overall score. Maryland with an impressive 7 points against the number 2 team in the country. Terps still winless in Big Ten play. Here's Digby, rolls around, gets the takedown. And the swipes come for Seth Digby. They'll whistle it off, and this one's over.
Against Rocco Welsh, losing a 7-6 decision, but quickly in control here. Already locked up a leg of Angelias.
Angelias, another true freshman, he's seeing time. Out of Gaithersburg and wrestled in high school at Bullis. He's on the outsides with Dylan Fishback. Fishback from Aurora, Ohio, and the redshirt junior who transfers over after being a 2-time All-American at NC State. Tom Ryan of Ohio State said a big reason why Fishback chose to wrestle with the Buckeyes. He knew that he could be at home representing the Ohio State with the NCAAs at Cleveland. He said that was a big factor in bringing Fishback to Columbus.
And you know, the hometown advantage definitely pays off, as Angelias is at significant risk of a fall here.
Correct that too. It was Fishback who fell to 10-6 in duels with the loss at Penn State. Here he earns his second takedown against Zapata Angelians.
And after a back and forth bout last time with Digby, it's now just all Buckeye, 6-1, and I feel like that score is underselling Fishback, who has just been setting up for a takedown, executing, and then waiting to set up again.
Dylan Fishback, the starter after Rocco Welsh was a sensational 184 for Ohio State last year. He goes from Ohio State to Penn State, and he beat Fishback on Friday. That one was just a decision for Welsh. Top-ranked 184, a 7-6 win. That was the tightest of the bouts on Friday in University Park.
That's Fishback's style, and sometimes it will come back to burn him.
Those 6 points that he had against Welsh, he's already matched that in the first 2 minutes and change here against Zapata Angelias. Angelias picked up a great win over Shane Cartagena Walsh against Rutgers. But most recently, on Super Bowl Sunday, a loss to Minnesota's Max McAnally.
He's getting a first-hand look at the top of this class. I mean, back-to-back with McAnally, as you said, and now here Fishback. That's as tough as it gets. And, you know, for Coach Clemson, he's trying to see, can Angelias be forged in fire here for next year?
You bring up a great point in these last 2 dual matches for Maryland in its final Big Ten dual match of the season, then hosting Drexel. Trying to see what does the lineup look like next season. There's matchups like this one against a top 10 184 that could be deciders for Angelias.
Angelias has struggled to show any kind of fight, just being reactive and spending most of this period in bottom position.
Here Angelias looks to build up a base in the final seconds of the first period, where it's been a pair of takedowns for Dylan Fishback and the one escape for Angelias.
It's just been all Fishback so far. And, I mean, there's not much you can do here if you're Angelias when you're not creating any offensive looks for yourself. You're not even in position to have a chance.
Here, Fishback gives the escape to Angelayas. And then the single leg shot. Breaks it down for the takedown after swiping the leg.
Control of that left leg, made sure that takedown would not escape. Angelayas was well positioned. He rolled properly to get away from it, but when you have one leg locked up, it's going to yank you right back.
Angelayas earns the escape. Still facing a 2 takedown deficit to Dylan Fishback.
Right now that left arm of Angelayas is the only thing holding off another takedown. Just see Fishback in full control, even with that chance by Angelayas, which was a good look for a potential single leg takedown. No hesitation at all. Fishback knows that he's in command right now. 6-point lead, now with double leg.
Double leg shot puts Angelayas in the air and earns a 4th takedown.
It's all about waiting for his lane and capitalizing on it. That's been something that the Buckeyes have excelled at today. Angelayas quickly at risk of another tech fall just a week after having a 19-4 one.
Fishback nearing 3 minutes of riding time. We're not even in the 3rd period.
You can see here with the sweep of the leg, and Fishback is just focused on takedowns exclusively, not trying to go for a near fall, not trying to be overly creative, just knowing that he has the physical advantage here. Take control.
Angelayas chooses top. And I'll look to reverse some of that riding time that's already secured entering the 3rd period. Even if it could just be Angelayas as the aggressor here for the final 2 minutes, go a long way for the freshman as they both get to neutral.
Coach Clemson told us he wants to see consistency in each period from all of his wrestlers. Angelayas could show that right here. Try and mount a comeback even though you're down by 10.
A full 7 minutes becomes something that you got to factor into these Big Ten duels, of knowing that it could sometimes come down to that 3rd period or more. And in that category, it's been Maryland who has been the winners there. Mekhi Neal and Seth Digby each picking up wins. But aside from those two, it's been Ohio State when the offense is easy in bouts. Just like another takedown, the 5th for Fishback.
Just took advantage of a moment where Angelayas was completely locked up, his neck bent the wrong way. Find that right leg, bring him down again. That's been exclusively what Fishback's done. Just that right leg, lifted all the way up in the air. Up by 16-3 now.
One more takedown as they go to neutral. Could do it. Right leg shot from Fishback.
If I can't flip you that way, I'll flip you the other way. Angelayas just trying to hold off a tech fall loss as Maryland are trying to get back into this in terms of team score.
First, we've had 3 wins for Carter Young, Mekhi Neal, and Seth Digby. Young's a major decision. Other than that, it's been 4 individual bouts won by Ohio State. All have come with bonus points.
Looks like Angelayas quickly said something to the coaching staff. Both wrestlers are trying to get ready to go. I mean, just 15 seconds here, and it is a pivotal 15 seconds, even though it's a 12-point difference. Just trying to avoid that tech fall.
A 6 takedown does it for Dylan Fishback. Goes for both of Angelayas' legs and looks for back points. We'll add the point shot by Geog to John's left leg. Branson John joined Braxton Brown as the only 2 wrestlers to win their individual bouts on Super Bowl Sunday against Minnesota. It's been a week since Maryland was last in action. These 1-a-week matches for Maryland come late in the season, but means there's a lot of miles already on the legs of the Terps wrestlers.
And they have had a rest advantage over an Ohio State team that just went on Friday against Penn State, but we haven't really seen that so far. Ohio State already up 24-10, and they look like they've gotten 2 weeks off.
This win already confirmed for Ohio State, who will finish the season 18-1, best season in program history. That one loss on Friday, a 31-point defeat to Penn State. But there's individual wrestlers who are going to want to see those success against Penn State when it comes time to be in Big Tens and NCAAs. That means that these ranked matchups, like a 17 versus 11, are important for both sides.
Quite important, Ryan, and also uncomfortable for both. Branson John this season is 0-4 against higher-ranked wrestlers, which does include number 1 Josh Barr twice, but that's still a noticeable trend considering he's undefeated against those who are lower than him. And then for Jug here, 1-5 against ranked, and he's only had a win against number 20.
For John, he did pick up a ranked win on Sunday against Minnesota. That one was against Gavin Nelson. And when you talk about wrestlers who really could show something in these last 2 matches against Ohio State and Drexel, Branson John is on the top of Alex Clemson's list.
I mean, there was a recent article published that talked about something he needs to work on, which is third period consistency and also closing off his arms and not allowing top-ranked wrestlers to take advantage. And so far, it has looked improved, Ryan.
Franklin Zessis of the Diamondback has been on the Maryland beat all season long. That was a great feature he had on John. Sophomore out of Clovis, California, who wrestled in high school at Buchanan. That was one of the top, and still is one of the top high school programs under Troy Tirapel. The Bears in Clovis, certainly atop the national rankings, meaning that John wasn't even a consistent starter until his senior year of high school because Buchanan is just one of the best programs at the level.
I mean, for John here, as his first period comes to an end, he's trying to finish with a winning record in Big Ten competition, 4-4 right now. And for Jug, he had 3 straight major decision wins coming into Friday. He wants to get on the right track and join his Ohio State teammates who have really bounced back here today against the Terps.
You mentioned Jug's major decision loss to Penn State's Josh Barr. Again, a big one that Jug looks to come back from, where we're still scoreless. An emphatic mat return by John. Escape point turn for Luke Geog. What could be important for what looks like another low-scoring matchup. For John, Clemson was saying too, it's less about wins and more looking like himself during matches. When he's wrestling confidently, the wins come.
And so far, he has looked confident and not, at risk or trying to speed things up, knowing that he's trying to pull off an upset. He looks like he's about evenly ranked, even though he is 7 spots lower right now.
Wrestled at Nationals last year, but was so sick of that competition, Maryland considered not bringing. There's a takedown for Branson John, and here come the swipes. John working on the back points. Branson John against a top 10 wrestler at 197. They want the swipes, and Maryland's bench to his feet wanting the mat slap. Geog looking to get out of it, and the slap comes. It's a pin for Branson John. He's got a top 10 win under his belt. A win by fall over Ohio State's Luke Geog. Class.
Schneck did not start last week against Minnesota. It was given to Oscar Williams, who lost in a 17-11 decision against number 10 Coy Hopke. But now it'll be his task to try and bounce back. He has a 1-3 record in Big Ten duels, trying to end the season on a high.
And Feldman was the victim of the only real upset on Friday. Number 12, Cole Mirasolo with the Nittany Lions. Bested number 3, Feldman. Here, Feldman earns a takedown less than 15 seconds in.
And you make a great point there, Ryan. The sense of urgency that Feldman feels right now, knowing that, yes, he is ranked while Schneck is unranked, but he wants this win. He doesn't want to stall. He wants to take control now.
That's 2 takedowns in 30 seconds for Feldman. The only point for Schneck is the escape in between them.
And for Schneck, his strategy would be to send it to sudden victory because those are the only Big Ten duels that Feldman has lost. 8-2, those 2, sudden victory, including Cole Mirasolo on Friday.
Yeah, Mirasolo won that one 4-1. It was just a takedown in extra time.
But I mean, Feldman really has momentum, and he's fired up right now. His last 9 bouts, he didn't even reach 5 points, only doing it once. Now today, he's already eclipsed that with 6.
Another sudden victory loss for Feldman, who has his 3rd takedown. Came a few weeks ago to Michigan's Tay Gadiali. And Gadiali, number 7, beat number 3 Feldman at the time.
And for Schneck, he can't push off that right arm, so he's just locked up and in trouble, and Feldman is just relentless, pulling it across the torso, trying to lock up one of the legs.
Another escape point for Joey Schneck, the redshirt sophomore out of Pittsburgh, who is a biological sciences major with a physiology and neurobiology specialization. Even just saying out that major seems pretty tough for me.
Well, I mean, it's probably quite relevant as a wrestler learning about the human body.
Another takedown, a 4th for Nick Feldman. He's up to a 9-point lead.
Schneck just has been unable to create a single look this entire period. It's just been all Feldman and early. He's been relentless. He wants a tech fall, Ryan.
Feldman out of Quarryville, Pennsylvania. Wrestled at Malvern Prep and really prepared him for the significant time he's seen at Ohio State. This is the 36th duel he's participated in. This is the offense that when Ohio State's won, it's been because of. If it's Feldman who keeps up what Ohio State's done today and what Feldman's doing so far, it would go as a 6th win individually by Ohio State. They would have all come with bonus points.
And I mean, talking about bonus points, already 2 minutes of riding time. We're not even done with the first period. You don't see that every day, Ryan.
No. We've seen 5 takedowns already for Feldman. Here's one.
Feldman in full control, just focusing on the leg, getting on top, and I don't think he's going to slow down at all, Ryan. He is exclusively focused on generating a tech fall. Be the first time in his last 10 bouts.
He's got it right there, and a tech fall to end things for Ohio State. The number 2 Buckeyes bounce back at Maryland to wrap up the 25-26 regular season. Nick Feldman earns a tech fall win against a Maryland team that showed a lot of bright spots today.
Maryland did show progress. You know, a 29-16 final score is exactly, you know, the best case scenario you could have drawn up realistically against a top Ohio State team. We saw some great bouts from Seth Digby and Mekhi Neal. So the Terps have things to build on as they get ready for Drexel on Friday.
How about this for Maryland, tying a season high with 16 points